Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Commerce First podcast. Today's episode is focused on empowering, employing, and serving people with disabilities. Our guest today is Bob Brown, President and CEO of Opportunity Village, Nevada's largest organization providing employment and other services for people with intellectual and related disabilities. Bob is a graduate of the University of California, Berkeley, and has a long history of leadership and involvement in the Las Vegas community. Let's jump right in. Good afternoon, Bob. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's great to see you, Brandon.
Man, great to see you as well. We in virtual land now. We did our first interview. You called in over the phone. I actually came into the facility and got to take a tour of the facility and see you in person. You're a lot taller than I thought in person, man. I was like, Larry Bird looking guy over here. But I loved it. It was a great experience when I came on to the campus. Man, thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you. And thank you for taking the time and coming down and doing a tour. I mean, it speaks a lot to you, Brandon, doing your homework, coming in. It speaks to the Commerce First podcast because, you didn't just, make a phone call and just, or say, hey, let's do a quick video. You actually did your homework. You came in here, you saw what we did, you took some film, and I just really appreciate that.
Thank you. And thank you guys for having me. I'm telling you, there was no other way for me to capture the full vision that I was able to capture than to come in there and actually take the tour. And I know, what was the young lady's name who I took the tour with? Sarah was amazing. Great customer service, knew the history of the facility, knew the history of the organization, knew about everything from every room that we went to. So it was just amazing, man. It's great staff over there. And you can tell that you guys have a great culture.
Yeah, it's the biggest challenge we have, I think, in the community is everybody knows Opportunity Village as the magical forest. And so they immediately go to, oh yeah, you're the guys that put on that magical forest every year. Hey, the magical forest is like one of the things we do for 60 days a year. The other 365 days, we're hustling. We're working on helping people find jobs, people with disabilities, helping them rehabilitation, all the different services that we provide to people. So that's really what we're going to talk about today a little bit.
Yeah, and I love that you deal with that community and because if you didn't know about it, you would never see it. Like, you got it's in his pocket, right? And my daughter went to NCEP, so that's how I found out about Opportunity Village and how important you guys' mission was. And then of course Opportunity Village is great, but I want to take the time to learn a little bit about Bob. Other than you went to UC Berkeley, what else can you tell us about yourself?
Listen, I'm just a student of life. I'm trying to learn a little bit every single day, and just you always keep your mind open and your heart open, and it's amazing the things that you'll figure out in life. You and I have that in common. We both have children with disabilities. I have a daughter, and so I come by it through her, and I got out of the newspaper business about 10 years ago. I was over at the RJ and decided to come over here, and I got an opportunity to run Opportunity Village, and I tell you, I had never looked back, and it's the best job in the whole world. It's just amazing to work with this wonderful group of people and care for people and really find people's dreams. What we're doing is we're trying to figure out what people really want to do with their lives, and then trying to get a pathway for them. And so many of these folks, are home alone. A lot of them, are out there. If you've got a family member with an intellectual disability, and if they're in a home or if they're by themselves, we want to hear about it at Opportunity Village. We can help them. We can get them into our programs and help them find a job and help them to flourish. We've had kids that didn't speak, and then within 6 months or a year here at OV, they're talking. We've had people that couldn't walk, and they're walking. So it's really a matter of finding what their hot buttons are, working on that, and helping them to be the best person that they can be. That's really what it's all about.
Man, man, that's one heck of a mission, I tell you. It's like a mission between a mission and a mission.
Yeah, yeah,
And so that serves a lot of purpose. So can you tell me a little bit about the history and the mission of Opportunity Village?
yeah, yeah. You know, I mean, it's a beautiful story. It's it all comes down to parents like you and me. This was Al and Desi Bailey, and I give Desi full credit. I'm sure she told Al this is what we're going to do, but she got a group of parents together, and they started Opportunity Village in December of 1954. If you can imagine. And at that point, there weren't services provided in the school district for people with intellectual disabilities. So a lot of these kids were underage, and they really wanted to teach them. So they developed a school, and that's how it started. And then about 3 years after that, in I think '57, the school district started a program to educate people with intellectual disabilities. So they switched their programming from children to adults. Now we serve both children and adults in different programs that we do, but majority of the people we serve are 22 and older. That's because once you matriculate out of the school district, there aren't any services for you as a person with intellectual disability, and so we provide those services. We are not we're not a government agency. We're a private nonprofit, and that's our mission. That's what we do. So it's been a
Man, you
great,
guys are doing
69-year journey. We'll be 70 years young next year.
really 70 years?
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Whoa, y'all got a big party planned?
Oh yeah, yeah. We don't listen.
Definitely.
This is OB. We always have a big party plan.
I heard y'all some big partiers over there.
That's
Got,
right.
got plenty of space for it as well.
Well, it's a happy crew. We're looking at the glass half full. We're thinking about how we can be positive with people. Make the world a better place. That's really what we're all about. We're not looking at like there's not enough, which I think is too common in our world, or that the sky is falling. We're looking at it like tomorrow's going to be a better day, and we're going to grow, and we're going to continue to help more and more people, and that's our mission. That's what we're all about, people.
So do you guys work with CCSD in the kids in the IEP programs?
We do, yeah. We have a bunch of training programs that we do with the school district, and that's under our job development section. So what we do is we take high school kids, and we have different lengths of programs. Some are 6 weeks, some are longer, and we take them and we have them try different jobs. So we have different job sites for that. And so we've got 64 of these locations all around the valley where we'll take people in. I'll give you an example. We have one at the Rio, so at the Rio Casino Hotel. And so you can go in there and you can learn custodial work, office work, different jobs within the casino. And then we try and have different people learn those jobs and eventually hopefully get a job doing that. That's the goal, is to train and see what people like and what they want to do, and then figure out jobs for them to do. So we've had people who detail cars, people who do custodial, like I said, people who work in the food industry, restaurants, just office work. Like I said, it's we're really not limited to any job. We really want to find what people want to do, and then we go out and we see if we can't find them a job doing that and train them to do that. It's all about the individual. Everybody's different, and that's the hard part of what we do, and the expensive part, I might add, and why it's difficult is that we've got to continually work on what it is that individual wants, not just mass producing jobs, because it doesn't work that way.
Right. Man, it's a great approach, and like I said, it's a forgotten community, and then you think some of that work is forgotten work as well, and for you guys to align the two, and then some of the contracts that you guys have is pretty amazing. When I was talking to Sarah, I'm like, you guys got some big contract with some heavy hitters here in Las Vegas.
We do, yeah. We're at all the federal buildings. We do a lot of work there. We work at Red Rock, the park. We work at Allegiant Stadium. We work at Harry Reid Airport. And we're just, again, all over town. part of those 64 locations are job sites that we have, and doing all different types of work, and that's, I think, so much of it is, as a private business, it's difficult to hire somebody because you might have to provide them with additional services. You have to, we do a lot of job coaching. We help people, with physical needs, wheelchairs, things like that. And so, private businesses, sometimes it's hard for them to invest in that. We help with that process. That's our stock and trade. So we have a lot of jobs that we do ourselves. We have a lot of jobs that we farm out. We have a lot of jobs that we train people and then put them in those jobs, and they work out in the community.
Yeah, it's amazing. Y'all even got some entertainers out here entertaining in the community.
Yeah,
doing some live shows, huh?
Yeah, we do. We have, we've got a whole fine arts program. A lot of people don't know about that. You saw some of that when you were here. We have some artists. In fact, one of our artists, Sharon, designed the license plate. If you go to the DMV, you'll see an Opportunity Village license plate. That's a little fundraiser for us, and she designed the artwork for that. And has done some beautiful work for us that gets sold. And when it gets sold, she gets 50% of the profit on the proceeds. And she likes to remind me that I need to help her sell more paintings. Every time I see her, she said, "Now you tell people they need to buy my paintings." I said, "Okay, Sharon." But we've got a lot of artists that do that. We've got our musical, we've got music and dance. We've got theater. It's amazing. You go into our music room and you hear some of the folks that we serve are learning how to play instruments. They're learning how to write music. There's a great thing about art, I think, particularly for people with disabilities. It's a great way for them to express themselves, as it is for all of us.
Yes.
And so, I have many cases of people. I'm thinking of a young man right now that we have at our North Campus, and he does these beautiful pieces of art. He's nonverbal, can't talk, doesn't have that ability physically, but he expresses himself through his art, and it's very powerful. And so that human spirit that's inside of the folks that we serve, you see it come out in things like art. You see it come out in their relationships with people. That we like to talk about the fact that the magic ingredient to Opportunity Village is love. We're just, we love each other and care for each other. It's amazing the stuff that happens. So that's really the magic, the secret sauce, if you will.
Yeah, I concur. I definitely look at it. I said, when I was walking through those hallways and I saw the art, I was amazed by some of the pieces that I saw. And then I went into the shop. It's like not really a shop, but it is an area where you guys post the ties and some scarves and other. And then what I really love was you can purchase the artwork. And then when you purchase the artwork, it has a card with a little bio of the person who actually created it. I thought that was so unique. It was amazing. So, you guys are doing some amazing things over there.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun with that. And new thing that we're going to have this next year is we're going to have some stationery. Some of these pieces of art are so beautiful, we're going to put them on cards, and people can have that as stationery. So you can buy the piece of art and then have the stationery that you can send out, or we'll do some holiday cards for people. So that'll be really exciting for us next year. And also, I forgot to mention, we have a wood shop, and there's a great story. I mean, you can imagine me explaining to our board of directors how we were going to have this wood shop. We started this wood shop, and they were worried about the safety, obviously, of having all these pieces of equipment. Well, it's terrific because the people we serve love to go in that wood shop and create things. They're creating these beautiful boards, cutting boards, and just doing amazing work with wood. They're repurposing, like surfacing guitars, and then painting them. Just doing a lot of work with the wood shop that is just really beautiful. And I got this one young man. I get this great story. His father had a wood shop in the garage, and he was not allowed to go in there, and because his father was worried that he would hurt himself. And so we took him in to our wood shop, and we worked him with all the equipment and all the safety procedures, and showed him how to do everything. And of course, watched him, made sure he was safe in doing it. And he built his dog a doghouse, and it was a pretty good sized dog, so it was a pretty good sized doghouse. And so he wanted his dad to come see the doghouse, so we had his dad come down, and his dad came in there and he saw that doghouse, and he just broke out into tears because he realized that his son had the same passion for wood that he did, and it was just a matter of sometimes we have to see beyond the disability, and as parents, that's probably hardest for us. Yes. Because we want to protect our kids.
Yes.
But I see that day after day after day. It's why people don't want to come to Opportunity Village. They don't want to send their kids here. They're worried, that I don't have control over, they need to be watched all. Well, of course, and that's what we do. And so that's my message to all those parents out there. You got to get over that, because these kids are going to grow up. They need to grow up. They just like the rest of us. And they need to they need to try new things, and they need to learn new things. And mom and dad, you're not going to be there forever. So now's the time while you're still healthy and strong to get through that. So it's tough. It's very emotional stuff with parents, I'll tell you. It's very tough.
As a parent of a daughter who has a disability, it does get tough on not just her, but it gets tough on the parent a lot of the times. I think of the times like if she wakes me up in the morning, it's like, hey, I need your help to get ready. And,
that's right.
So I'm up early in the morning getting her ready. So,
that's right.
My job starts from the get-go. And I mean, it's not a job I take lightly. I mean, we're talking about putting on her socks, putting on her, bra, combing her hair. And I sure don't know how to comb hair, but, she trusts me to do my best. And we make it work. Luckily, there is some programs out there who really do put the effort and the time in. And then, when you work in this profession, it has to be a passion of yours. You have to really be passionate about working with these children and these adults, because they need your help. They need that heart.
Yeah.
You can't be too direct. It's got to be in you, right? It's got to be in you.
It 100% has to be in you. I tell people that. I go, I could explain to you the job, and you could do the job, but is it in your heart to do the job? Do you want to help others? Do you get that satisfaction from that? If you do, it's the best job in the world. Exactly. If you don't, you're going to be here for a little while, and then you're going to leave because it's just not for you. But the people that we find that love the work, I mean, I'll fight you for every single one of them. They are solid gold. I'm gonna do everything I can to keep paying them more money, because
that's right.
They're worth their weight in gold.
That's right. And I was talking to Sarah too. We were talking about turnover a little bit, and I know you guys were able to eliminate some of the turnover that was happening. It was right after COVID-19, so that was an uphill battle for you guys.
Yeah, you remember, like, I think it was what was it, spring of 21? We had the great everybody left their jobs. It was
great resignation.
A third of the. Like 30%, we had this big drop off across the country, and we did a little better than that. And I think a lot of that is just, we've got a good culture, and we care about people, but it was still tough on us too. And we're still catching up, trying to find more people. We've got job openings now, and you can go to our website and look for all those, but there's a ton of jobs open here for all different types of duties. And, but if you've got it in your heart, then this is the place for you. That's all I can say, because you'll get in here and you'll see it and you'll love it.
Yeah, I highly encourage, if you like working with people, you want to make a difference in people's life every day, you want to feel great, that type of work makes you feel empowered and fulfilled, and go on to the opportunityvillage.org website and go and apply. So Bob, how has Opportunity Village evolved over the years to meet the needs of people with disabilities in the community? And before you even answer that,
sure.
I do want to say this real quick. I was introduced to some of the best programming I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it's like programming, another program, then another program, then you walk around this wall, it's another program. I love it. So I know you keep the people busy. So I'm gonna ask you again, How has Opportunity Village evolved over the years to meet the needs of people with disabilities in the community?
Yeah, well, we started out, we were just a warehouse, and so we would get these little
Really?
jobs in. Yeah, I mean, in fact, up until I think, maybe almost about 10 years ago, we had a warehouse down on Main Street that we turned into a thrift store, but that was the original warehouse. Um, and there was a limitation there because there were so many things you could do in a warehouse. Now we've got these campuses and we've got all this different programming. We talked about the fine and performing arts and all that. We talked about the fact that, we have people with very severe disabilities in our Pride program. That started, 13, 14 years ago. And that's been an amazing thing for families because here's a child that is severely disabled, probably needs a feeding tube, definitely needs to be taken to the bathroom, can't do any of that themselves. We take care of those children and we take care of that adult child throughout the day so that a mom or a dad can go to work. And that's a really, really vital thing for those families. We've got, so moving up from there, we've got people that aren't as physically disabled, but might have a higher intellectual disability. And so we've got an enable program for them where we're trying to create like the best, we call it the best hours of the day where, they're able to, explore, different environments, take them on field trips, try new activities, learning, life skills, and just really basic things that they can do. And so we've got that. That's our next level of programming. And then you can matriculate out of that into we still have work centers, and those are where they could actually get paid. So we have jobs for people with disabilities where we do a lot of work with Cox, doing Cox cables. We'll do light manufacturing. So there's a lot of, you saw the big warehouses that we have. I mean, and the one here, but we've got, a few of those. And then we have the jobs where we can go out to the community. And that's all of our, work-based jobs that are all these different locations that we have. So it's really, finding what it is that individual wants to do. And we've had people that they're terrific at doing a job and they'll say to us, well, I like this, but I really want to do this. Well, then we'll say, okay, this is your plan on how you get to do that. We're going to have to, first you're going to have to learn how to do this, and then you're going to have to learn how to do that, and then you're going to have to learn how to do this. But that's the roadway, if you will. And our job coaches are really good about that. I mean, we just, again, terrific people here that spend the time with the individual to figure out what it is that they want, and that's what it's all about. It's
Right.
You can't mass produce this stuff. It's got to be done one-on-one. So those are really, I mean, a lot of programming. I think about it, like 10, 15 years ago, we had custodial jobs. I mean, if you wanted a job in the community, it was you were a janitor. Now, I mean, geez, we've got all kinds of jobs. We've got people doing jobs all over town that aren't custodial jobs. So that's exciting because I think people are, parents in particular, are looking for meaningful work for their kids, and I think that's important for us to make sure that we're expanding and doing better. And every year we're trying to expand that envelope and see what else we can figure out and what we can do.
Yeah, that's right. I was when we first walked in and I was talking to you, there was a group of young men who walked by us, and I don't know if you noticed, but my business outside of podcasting and hosting radios is I do team and professional development and also leadership development. So when I saw these fellas all walk out and they was all walking together and they was in good spirits and they were all smiling and hey Bob, and people even saw me, stranger, hey stranger, pretty much. But it was just amazing. So do you guys focus on the team aspect as well, or is it just the skills training?
Well, it's the whole gamut. I mean, listen, to be a good team member is to be a good employee. So we always talk about that, but I think that's incorporated in our culture, and we haven't talked about that at all. But let's kind of delve into that. We call it the OV way, And the number one item on the OV way is connections. So how are we connecting with each other? We're one of the things about OV that a lot of people don't know is we have the most diverse workforce in Nevada. We've got
Really?
700 employees, and it is absolutely. I mean, a lot of different languages can be spoken here, and there's a lot of different cultures, and there's a lot of different holidays, and a lot of different good food. It's a lot of fun. So, that connection is the most important thing, because if we're connecting with each other, then we're understanding each other,
Right.
and we're resolving differences, and we're figuring things out, but we're doing it together. And so having that mindset of connecting is so important to us. The other is development. That's another big thing. So we're developing each other. We're helping the organization. Productivity is important to us. So we're a nonprofit. So how productive we can be in our day. These are the things that we really kind of focus on as an organization. And the OV way helps us that's our culture. So that keeps, that overrides everything. So we have conversations about that, and enthusiasm is one of them. We want to make sure that we're all enthusiastic, because hey, we could be making connections all over town, but if we're not enthusiastic about it, that could be a negative connection. So we don't want that.
Yeah.
So it's really it's a beautiful, beautiful culture that we've developed, and I give the staff full credit for that, because they're the ones that live it every day, and they enjoy it, and they want to keep it that way. And that's it doesn't matter who the leader is. It matters what the culture is of that organization, and that's really what I find refreshing about OV and exciting about OV and its future.
Yeah, that's how you get the longevity. That's how you get loyalty, and that's how you continue to grow and expand. And when you have it, that you create a system that continuously works. You know what type of people you need, what type of training they need.
Yep.
So yeah, you're definitely right. I'm gonna go on to this next question. Can you share some of the successes and challenges that you face empowering, employing, and serving the disability community?
Well, I mean, the challenge is always convincing businesses that these are great employees to hire, and so that's going to always be a challenge. You have to really show people that our guys can show up to work and do the work, and of course we do that every single day. But convincing people of that is always a challenge. I think some of our biggest successes is when people come back to us and say, "Hey, I'm so glad that you had us hire this person." They light up the office, or they're everybody loves them. They do their job. They're excited about doing their job. They're enthusiastic about doing their job. It makes the whole office hum. I have heard that hundreds of times, hundreds of times. So I mean, that's to me right there. It tells me something. Who's normal and who's not normal. I don't even buy that anymore. I think it's all about people and just relating to each other. You can go to an office workspace and you have all different types of personalities. Well, I can tell you that a lot of the folks that we work with, they're bright and bubbly and excited, and they just want an opportunity. They just want a chance. And once they get that chance, they take full advantage of it. So it's beautiful to see. It really is.
I love what you said. Everybody got different personalities, and sometimes you can't really gauge those personalities.
No.
And that was why Tiffany and I, which is my business partner, my wife, we created the we mentality. You see those birds in the back? Those birds are like personality birds.
Okay.
So if you ever take like a disc assessment or anything like that, it's so the dominant is the eagle. The influential
dominant expressive right here. Dominant expressive. Everybody knows
that's you. my compassionate person, my steady person is the dove, and then my person who's analytical, they're the owl. And the reason why we did that was because of imagery, because a lot of people, they see the D's but it doesn't stick. But when you see the characteristics play out in the bird form, now it's like, oh, I can see it. Like I can feel it. Like, yeah, the eagle is competitive and challenging and direct. Like, and I expect that from them. So I love it. I love organizations and companies who focus or have a focus on culture.
Yeah.
And the businesses who don't, or the organizations who don't have that, they struggle. The turnover is massive, and when you're in a city like Las Vegas that is transient, the last thing you want is to have high turnover. I'm telling you.
Absolutely. Hey, I love that bird idea. That's stellar. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years with people, and that's a great idea. It really is. Good for
Thank
you.
you.
And
Thank you.
and this whole thing about employees and culture, if you're not loving on your employees, God help you. That's all I can say. Because
Right.
frankly, that's your organization. That's the lifeblood of your organization. A lot of people, they start a business, they get into a business, and they think they're all that at a side of fries, and they're not. I mean, it's the employees that are making that. Just send everybody home, and then you do that all by yourself. Everybody knows that.
It is. It's
Intuitively.
always what one rock star, right? You ever heard the 80-20 rule? It's like 20% of the people that work in your business, they run your business. But it's
Yep.
like that with everything.
Yep.
And there are some rock stars in some companies that if that employee was to leave, they would struggle.
That's
Because
right.
a lot of times people come back because of the relationship that employee created.
Exactly right. Yeah, and we see that in our hiring is we do get a lot of people that come back. They'll leave and they'll think, oh, the grass is greener, and they'll come back. And a lot of times they'll just say, no, it's really the culture here that they like. That's good.
Yeah.
That's what you
Yes,
want.
sir. Yes, sir. And it starts with leadership, right?
Well, thank you for that. But I got a lot of great leaders. I got
Okay. All right.
I mean, there's two type of people in the world. There's the humble, and there's the people that are about to be humble. So I like
That's
that first group.
right. I like to watch the second one though. I don't know why. That's just something in
We
me.
all do. It's like watching a car crash in slow motion, right?
Yeah. All right, Bob. Can you speak to me about your role as president of Together for Choice and its impact on the disability community?
Sure. Yeah. A few years ago, we started Together for Choice, and we did that, and it's about choice in housing. The people with disabilities did not have a lot of choice in housing. There's not a lot of options for them, and it's very difficult to find good housing. And so this started with some of our parents here and I went out and looked at, what was available in housing. And we didn't find a lot of really good housing. There's a few out there in Las Vegas, but boy, by and large, there's not good places for people to have their loved one live. So, our mission at OV dictated that we went out and we raised $35 million from the Ingolstadt Foundation. And I believe it's the largest donation ever for an organization like ours. And we built Betty's Village, and that is the premier housing community for people with intellectual disabilities in the world. And I will say that, until somebody shows me something better, I'm going to keep saying the world.
Right.
Because we have people visited from all over the world, and they come away and they just go, that's amazing, Bob. That's really, because it allows people to live independent lives in the community, and they have friends, they have social activities, and they're flourishing, and they're just in this great environment. And to a family, all the families say, we never thought our child would ever be able to do this. And now they are. Now they can live independently and have that. And that is just the most beautiful thing. So we built Betty's Village. It's 88 beds. While we did that, we found that there was not a lot of advocacy going on across the country for people with disabilities. So we started it, and that's what Together for Choice is. And so I'm very proud to be the president of that group. We started that organization. We run that out of Chicago, Illinois. And we have a group of providers around the country that are members of that. And we advocate for people with disabilities about housing issues in Washington. So we spend a lot of time in Washington talking to people about, why it's important to have places like Betty's Village for people, and why that's the future, for people with disabilities.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That was the one portion of the campus that I didn't get to go and tour yet, but I did tell
you. Yeah, it'll blow your mind. Yeah, that one will blow your mind, because, like I said, once you see it and you realize what's going on there, you're just like, this is great. I mean, I've never had anybody ever come to me and say, it could be better.
You have other states coming and checking out and trying to see, like, okay,
Oh, sure.
you can duplicate this programming.
100%. Yeah, got it all the time. I mean, there's groups. I talked to a group in Utah, California, Arizona, all looking at how they can duplicate that effort. And we had a group in northern Nevada that was looking at it. And we're very open about it. I said, look, we'll take you under the hood. We'll show you everything. I mean, if we can proliferate this plan, I'm all for it. It doesn't cost you a penny. We just need to help people. That's what we're all about.
Now, highly commendable. It's very commendable. So here we go, Bob. Can you share with me your thoughts on the importance of inclusion and integration for people with disabilities in the community?
Yeah, well, obviously, I think that it's primary. I mean, I don't want to see any barriers for anybody, and I think that's a goal that we all have to strive for. We all know there are barriers. We all know that there are all kinds of barriers, and as a community, we all have to work together to break those barriers down. And we all have biases, whether we know about them consciously or subconsciously. We all have biases, and we have to break those barriers down. And so it's a constant effort internally with ourselves. And if we're fighting ourselves on that, you can imagine how hard it is to bring a bunch of people in the community together. So we always talk about the fact that that barriers are things that we have to observe and overcome. And so and you do that with patience, you do that with connecting with people and having understanding, and not getting your ego all wrapped up in things, but rather listening to others, because that's how I learn, and that's how I bring my barriers and my biases to light. So it's all about really understanding that these things are, we're pre-programmed from youth because we grew up in different environments, and we have to learn that not everybody thinks the same way we do. That's a big moment in life for a lot of people. And so, there's great value in that. When working with people with intellectual disabilities is refreshing, because, there's not that, normally when you meet people, there's a persona that they're presenting to you. Well, with people with intellectual disabilities, hey, they're just trying to they're doing the best they can just to manage. So that persona is not there. They will tell you exactly how they feel. They'll tell you exactly what they're thinking. And that's a refreshing in so many ways, because we all should be like that. There's a childlike beauty to that. And I don't mean that in a pejorative. I mean, that's a beautiful thing, that they can not put on airs or not have to, not have to manifest ego. They can just tell you exactly what it is that they're thinking, and that's beautiful. If we all had that in us, it would be a really a beautiful place to live here. So we all can work on that. I mean, think about it. I mean, it's just it's great.
Yeah, we got a little too much discernment.
Yeah, exactly. They can they'll walk up to you. Hey, Bob, I love you. Well,
right.
Yeah, I love you too, and that's the way it should be.
Yes, sir. Love it. Yeah, I love it. We call it the platinum rule. So we treat people the way that they want to be treated.
Yeah.
He was raised by the golden rule: treat people the way that I want to be treated. But not everybody is like me. I tell people all the time, like, I come from a coach and athletic background. I was a police officer as well. So it's a lot of hazing and, good boy, but we really not good boys, we play rough and, a lot of slapping on the, that's just how you are. It's athletics, right? And he's got to know.
I was in the jock class. I get it. Yeah.
And some people, they don't want to be touched.
Right? We had to learn that that's inappropriate behavior, and it turns a lot of people off. I remember as a young manager, I would use football analogies all the time. And finally, I had somebody say to me, I never played football, so I don't understand that.
Right. Exactly. But you got to find that one common thing to make people understand the message, or what's the vision that we're trying to accomplish. And a lot of times, if you can find a different way that communicates with them, adapting to them, that's what we call effective communication. This is where you have your culture development. This is where you get all the cylinders running at the same time, and that's what you want. You want that system to be ran, but you also want the people who run it to be fulfilled. You want them to be happy, and you want them to want to come to work.
Exactly right. And that whole notion of adapting, that's just key,
Yes,
because
sir.
that's a big part of what we do with jobs and with people is help them to adapt to a situation, and
Yeah.
we have to adapt our thinking in order to help
Yeah.
them to do that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's why the culture is what it is. I saw it. Like when I came in, I saw it immediately. I'm like, we need companies to come and do a lesson here. So back, because I'm a business coach as well, and what we do is we send companies to Zappos so that they can learn about culture, because Zappos has an amazing culture downtown.
Yeah.
And but honestly, since I came to Opportunity Village, I've just never seen anything like it. And I truly believe that if there is a business or organization who wants a lesson on culture, and it's not even a workshop, you just need to just be in the presence, just be in the vicinity, and you'll feel it, you'll see it.
Yeah.
And then when you ask, like you go on the website, you can see it's very intentional. It's not just an accident that this is how it is. It's very intentional the way it has turned out. And I commend y'all for it. I'm telling you.
Well, it takes a lot of work, as you well know. I mean, it takes a lot of training, and there's a lot of reinforcement, a lot of communication. You're constantly working on that. I mean, I knew Tony Hsieh. I read his book, and I thought it was really interesting how he talked about tribes and culture.
Yeah.
And when we set up this culture, we were very specific about the fact that connection unit had to be first, because that was the most important thing. And I use this example. Before anybody knew who I was, I went into one of the rooms, and I was observing, seeing how people were cared for. And this young man walked up to another person that was in a wheelchair, and they were asked to move them to a table. Well, he walked right up to him, picked him up, and moved him over, put him in a chair on the table. Didn't say a word. And I thought, man, how would I feel if somebody just walked up to me and picked me up and moved me to the table?
Right.
And so I always use that as the example of why connection started, because there has to be a connection with that other person. And that means you don't just walk up to somebody and pick them up. You have a conversation and you say, is it okay if I do this? And that was the start of that whole mindset. But it's been beautiful, really, the places that the staff has taken that and how far they've gone with it. Because as you well know, once an idea is out there, it expands into infinity. And so the idea is just all through the organization, and how in so many places I hear that reflected back. This is how we're connecting with people, and I love that. I mean, it just warms my heart to see that, and that's the important part of it, I think.
Bob, how many employees do you guys have?
We're just under 700. I think we peaked out at 750 in 2019 before the pandemic, and then we dropped back to about 650. Now we're just creeping up on 700. I have about 50 or 60 more positions to fill.
Wow.
Yeah.
Y'all heard that? 50
Yeah,
to 60 more positions, guys. So anyone watching who's watching this podcast, who's going to watch this podcast, if you need employment and you want some meaningful employment, Opportunity Village.
Yeah, work with a purpose. That's what we like to talk about. Having your work life and your purpose life, together, and that's what we do.
That's right, man. I'm gonna have to send some people over there. I know some people right now.
Absolutely.
I got you. So, can you discuss some of your proudest accomplishments throughout your career and involvement with Opportunity Village?
Yeah, I have to say Betty's Village. The residential. It's changed residential housing for people with disabilities in Nevada, and certainly that the fact that we're not only doing that, but now we're starting another one. We've raised $20 million, and we're going to build another some more housing. We have some property up off Decatur in the north side of town, and so we're going to build I think 120 units up there. And so that project will start sometime in 24. So we'll have the working title is Betty's Village 2, but it's just it's our next housing project. And so I'm very proud of that. I mean, I could have been very happy with Betty's Village as my life's work, but we've got more to do. We've got a waiting list, got a lot of people that need housing, so we've got to keep working.
That's right, Bob.
And then expanding OV. OV is going to grow, another 20-30% in size in the next couple of years, and we've got to be able to develop that, train that, make sure that we're passing on the same level of care and that consistency of that quality with people. And so that's a big part of the job. That never ends. You're constantly working on those things. So very proud of the team that we built and the staff that we have. I'm just so blessed to have the people around me that do the work that they do. It's tremendous.
Do you guys work with other small businesses in the community?
We work with tons of businesses in the community. Yeah, absolutely. Small, large, medium size. We meet people where they are. If they have a job placement that they're looking for, if they want to help us by volunteering. I think we had 18,000 hours of volunteers last year.
Wow.
Which we set a new record. I don't know, I 3 Squared is pretty good with volunteers too, but I don't know what their number is, but that's a pretty good number. I'll put that up there.
Yeah, claim that. Why not?
Let's see. It's however they want to meet us and work with us. We're more than happy to do that. So yeah, I love working with businesses of all sizes.
If a small business like within the chamber wanted to work with Opportunity Village, what does that process look like? Do they have to go online and fill out some paperwork, or do they need to contact someone?
No, you would just go online and you would call. I mean, depending on what it is that you wanted to do. If it was volunteering, we have a volunteer team. If it's fundraising, we have a fundraising team. If it's if you have a business, we have a new business development officer. We've got a lot of different people. Just go to the website and look up what it is that you're looking for, and that's the person to contact. Their email will be in there.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the purposes I have for this show as well, because being a member of a chamber, you got to find the value within the membership. And one thing is this: it's kind of like going to the gym. When you go to the gym, it's a membership. When you go to the YMCA, it's a membership. And what happens within that membership is there's all of these possibilities and all of these opportunities, but people don't take advantage of them. And one thing that I love about being part of a chamber is, especially if you do B2B business, is you can find not just people to do work with, but meaningful work. And that was why when I had you on 88.1, my main vision when I first had you on 88.1 was to have small businesses get more involved with nonprofits such as yours, because there's always help that needs to be done. There's always someone who can receive a helping hand. And that was one thing. I'm like, man, make sure that these small businesses start reaching out to these big businesses, large organizations, and just seeing where can we partner and where is their alignment.
100%. Yeah, it's really important. The Urban Chamber has been really good to us over the years, and I just think it's a great organization, and it's important that we reach out into the entire community.
All right, so we only got 2 questions left, Bob. I know I want to get you out of here on time. I knew the timing was going to be perfect. It was perfectly timed. You know that. He says a lot.
That's you. that's your professionalism coming out.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. So look, Bob, can you talk to me about the impact that COVID-19 had on the disability community and how Opportunity Village has adapted to those challenges?
Oh boy. Yeah, we can talk for an hour about that. Look, let's be honest. When it hit, and everybody remembers this, when everything shut down, well, we had to shut down. We had a state order. We had to shut down. And so we closed our doors. Now, we worked with the governor's office at the time. Governor Sisolak really did us a big favor. He put the people that we serve with disabilities on the list to get the first vaccinations. because they're very susceptible. They got a lot of secondary conditions, and so they were not on the list from the CDC. Nevada added them to the list. I thank the governor for that. Saved a lot of lives. He saved a lot of lives by doing that. So we got them inoculated. We were able to open back up, and that helped us out. We did lose a lot of people. We paid everybody when we were closed. We actually made a conscious decision to not lay anybody off and not pay anybody. We paid everybody their full salary for that period of time. It was about 6 weeks or 8 weeks that we were closed. Cost us millions of dollars, and we recovered from that. It's taken us at least a couple of years to come out of that, in terms of having to catch up on how many people that we're serving, and we're still working on that. We've still got people on our waiting list waiting to get back into the program, because I have to hire people to care for them. So as soon as I hire people, then we bring more people back in, and we've been working on that and stepping that up. This last 6 months been really good for us. We're really starting to bring more people back into the programs. So that's been kind of the catch up for it. I mean, it was devastating at the time, and it cost us a lot of money. And we did get some reimbursement from the federal government, but it didn't pay for everything. And so it was tough. It was a tough thing to go through. And I'll tell you, as a leader, and you'll appreciate this, that being home, and I remember sitting at home that first Monday, thinking we're closed, and it's like, well, what do we do now? I mean, it was
Right.
scary. It was scary. I'll just be honest. I mean, because you didn't know what was going to happen, and
Right.
fortunately, we started doing these calls, and we would do these phone calls with the entire management team, and we would talk about what was going on and what we had to do, because we had some contracts that were vital personnel, like at the airport. We still had people working at the airport. We had people working at the Air Force Base. We had people working at the park, and so those jobs were still vital, and we had to keep doing them. So we had some work that was being done, but the big campuses were all shut down, and the day habilitation and all the work with the real disabled people was shut down. So those were difficult times, but having those calls, making sure everybody was together, make sure everybody heard from us, I think that was really, I know it meant a lot to me, and I'm sure it meant a lot to them. So that was a beautiful thing. We got through it, I mean, I
bet it really tested your leadership.
Kind of builds you as a team, to kind of keep, it's one of those things where you've all been through a crisis now, so we're all kind of together, and it's nice.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. So as the leader, I commend you, because there's a lot of decisions that got to get made, and we don't know the right decisions at all the time. We do the best that we can, and then sometimes we gotta reach to the people to the right and the left. Like, what would you do? Oh, okay, that sounds good. Let's go with that one.
That's right. That's right. There was a lot of that, because you don't know. I mean, in a group, you get a group of people together, smart minds, people that want the best for the organization, and that was very helpful to have that. And of course, we've got a great board of directors, very understanding, wonderful people. They didn't blink an eye at paying those salaries, and I'm just so appreciative of them for that. It's a good team.
Yeah, shout out to the board. Now, there was another one, but I did want to acknowledge these people as well. So at the end, after this question, I'm gonna ask you to acknowledge some of your donors, that whoever you want to acknowledge. That's always
sure. Yeah.
So my last question for you before that is, what message do you have for individual organizations and the community at large to support people with disabilities and create a more inclusive society?
Yeah, I would say, that reach into your heart and figure out what it is that you can do with what you have. I mean, if it's time, volunteer some time. If it's treasure, donate some money. And if it's your expertise, then give us a call and tell us what you can help us with. That's really the key. I mean, if we all work on this together, we're going to be fine. As a community, whether it's Opportunity Village or whether it's some other organization, everybody should have one group that they work with. Whether it's your church or it's a community group, get in there and help them out, because they're volunteers. They need your help. and it's so good for you. You know, you're growing and you're learning new things. And a lot of folks are, you know, I always talk about that two halves of life. You know, when you're young, you're trying to acquire and build, and you're growing your empire. You get to a certain age, you realize you know you've got enough stuff, and you got to figure out what it is you're here on this planet for. Well, I tell you, you're here to help others. Okay, so that's the secret. So get out there and help others now, and you know, get to step 2 quicker.
Yes, I love it. Great advice. Amazing advice. I don't think I could have said it any better. Lastly, let's acknowledge some of these donors who really keep the lights on, keep the programming going, keep the mission alive.
There's far too many of them, and I don't want to forget anybody. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Good answer.
I'm just gonna say, well, first of all, you know, obviously the Ingolstadt Foundation, who, you know, has been amazing for us. But I just have a special one for everybody, and that is Billy Walters. Everybody knows in town, Billy Walters, probably the preeminent sports gambler ever. And he's a big supporter of Opportunity Village. He has a new book coming out called The Gambler. It's an autobiography, and the proceeds are going to Opportunity Village. So that's coming out on Simon & Schuster, and it's on Amazon right now. It's the #1 selling sports book on Amazon today. And so I don't know when the podcast is going to air, but I guarantee you it'll be the #1 sports book then, because it keeps growing every single day. So, you know, if you want to pick up a copy, that'd be great.
And what's the name of it?
The Gambler, Billy Walters' story, and it's a great read. A lot of good stories in there.
Great. All right, thank you. Now, any events coming up? You got a little couple more seconds. I know you got to go.
I think in May, keep an eye out. We're going to have a big fashion show in May. That's going to either be at the Aces training facility or at the Raiders training facility. Thanks to Mark Davis and the folks at the Aces and the Raiders for that. And you know, look for that information, and we'll have that out on social media. So hope to see everybody at the fashion show.
All right, thank you, Bob. Bob, thank you for your leadership. Thank you to the team. Thank you to Opportunity Village for their culture and everyone who's involved. I appreciate you for coming on, Bob. I look forward to our next conversation, sir.
Bless you, my friend. Thank you.
Bless you as well.
You well.
You have a safe day today.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
So that's Opportunity Village, y'all.
Yep.
I'm gonna tell you, you still recording?
Yep, go ahead.
Look, I never even expected for it to be this much. I knew that the work that they did in the community was amazing because of the reputation, but to actually be able to see what they're doing, to be able to be engaged with the actual employees, to hear how their culture is and how they embrace it, is so rewarding. So for those, if you know anybody who have a disability, traumatic brain injury, and they need these resources, just reach out. I would look up opportunityvillage.org first, and then if you can schedule a tour to learn more about what they do, exactly what they do, you got to come here and you got to see it. So shout out to Under the Hood, capturing the footage. I appreciate y'all. We had a great morning. I can't wait to see what this come out to be, man.